Hey everybody, how you doing? Happy New Year. Wow, we finally made it, huh? 2022. It was a long time coming, but finally we are here. Brand new year, folks, and it is time to get back to becoming. How have you been? Now I know this has like taken forever. It's been like a couple of months since I last did a recording. Just had it. We just needed to take a step back, sort of like review a lot of things, and sort of come back with what I felt would be the best approach to disseminate the content, right? So I didn't run away. I'm still here, and I'm back, and we're better. And I decided to really record this particular content on the first day of the year because it's something that I want to be doing a bit more frequently, right? So that there isn't too much gap between one content and the next, right? So that is how we're going to be doing it this year. And I would really love to have you join me on the ride. We're going to be more frequent and we're going to be a bit more punchy. And we'll also focus on sort of like reducing the timing, right? So that you get the best bang for the minutes that you're going to be here listening to me. Okay. So, welcome to 2022. Today, without further ado, what I'd really like to talk to you about is, as the title says, walking in authority. And that's a very interesting concept, and it's a very interesting title, because if we look at that word authority, the first thing that usually springs to our minds is um, somebody in power, right? Somebody that has this authority title, like maybe a boss or the cops, right? Or somebody in authority. And usually what we feel about that person is some measure of fear or some measure of respect, right? This person has the authority or the power to do XYZ. He can pay my salary, right? Or he can send me to jail, or he has the power to, cause some things to happen in my life, right? So usually a relationship with that word or with the person that has that title, right, or is deemed to be in a position of authority, we usually have this complicated relationship with that person. We need the person, we need the authority figure, right? But most of the time, we're not close to that person. We would rather cooperate or would rather run away, right? Rather than having to come close. But I'm here to tell you that authority is not really the way you have been looking at it all these years. In fact, authority is your greatest gift. And I'm talking about true authority. True authority is your greatest gift and it is your greatest protection. And my job here today is really to make you fall in love with authority. Have I grabbed your attention? I hope so. I hope so because this is going to be really eye opening. Okay, so to sort of introduce this, I'd like to paint this example that I think you can relate to. Now, you go to the airport, right? And you see all these planes, around. Some are parked there waiting to take off. Some are ready to fly. Some are about to take off. Some are about to land. Now, have you ever wondered to yourself, how do these things fly? Right? Because you can go to the airport and it's just usual for you to, you check in and then you wait for your flight to be called and then you get into the plane and you take off. But have you ever wondered really, how does this thing fly? This huge metal giant, so many tons of weight, people inside, you have luggage, you have fuel, yeah, and you're wondering, how does it really fly? Right? Now it flies because um it really submits to two laws, right? Or two principles. The first principle is the principle of gravity, right? Gravity is what keeps objects stationary, right? Because it makes you obey that particular law, right? The Earth's gravitational pull is what makes objects grounded, right? So when you throw an object up in the air, it's going to come down, right? Because it is being pulled to the center of the earth. That is how gravity operates basically. right? So that is why those objects are stationary. But there's another law, another principle that it submits to, and that is the principle of aerodynamics, which is really what makes the plane fly. When the plane hits a certain speed, right, the law of aerodynamics, or the law of lift, is what catches onto the plane and it lifts it up into the air, right, and it starts to fly. Okay, but if you really examine the mechanics of how a plane flies, you get to understand that it needs so many things. It needs fuel, right? It needs caterers. It needs to be manipulated. When the Wright brothers, Wilbur and Orville Wright, first invented that flying machine, right? It was said that they gave man the ability to fly, but that's not really the case. What they did really was to allow man to step into the next phase, right? And we're now able to go into the air and transport ourselves and our goods and services, etc. But man himself cannot fly. And I'd like you to really pay attention to that distinction, right? Um, we have the freedom to be able to manipulate objects or to be able to build things that would allow us to fly, but we cannot fly, right? Now, I'd like to juxtapose this scenario that I've just described with a bird, right? Now, the plane is also a bird, right? Because you can term it to be that, a bird, because it's flying. But the bird, the real bird, is um, an object of creation that has a natural ability to fly. And I'd like you to really understand this concept. The plane is man-made, but the bird is God made. Now, both of them can fly, right? But you understand that the plane has to go through so many processes. It needs checks and balances, it needs fuel, it needs caterers. As a matter of fact, between 27 and 30 people need to be on ground anytime a plane lands before it can be allowed to take off, right? Because you need so many people to check through all the things that are going on to ensure that the plane is safe enough to fly. But the bird needs nothing because the bird is built to fly. In other words, the bird is authorized to fly. What am I saying? I'm saying that when you find your gift of authority, you are walking an authentic life. In other words, you're doing the thing that you were created to be. And that is where the true principle of authority falls into play. When you're walking in your gift of authority, you are released to function to your maximum life. And that is really the essence of the Becoming series. If you go back to what we say our watchwords or our bylines, it is discovering the deep truths and the principles that would enable us become everything we were created to be. And the concept of authority is a very fundamental and predominant concept, because until you find your authority, until you find the thing that you were created to be, you will not be able to live your maximum life. So let's take that a bit further. Um, so fish, right? Fish have a gift. What is their gift? They have the ability or the power to swim. That is their gift, right? But that is not their authority. And I'd like you to really stay with me on this one. What is their authority? Their authority is the water. Their authority is the water, because it is when they are in their authority that they're able to function the way they were created to. Do you understand? That is why authority is so important. If you are not functioning in your correct authority, you will not be able to function properly. You will, in fact, malfunction, right? What is the authority of the bird? The bird has the gift. The gift of the bird is flight, but the authority of the bird is the air. Now, you notice that the air is the sky. Now, the bird can fly. That is its gift. It can fly. but it cannot fly to the moon. It cannot fly to the sun. It cannot fly into outer space. It can only fly within the context of the air. And the air is its authority. That is why I said that authority is your greatest gift, but it's also your greatest protection. Because if the bird leaves the air, it will malfunction. It will not be able to be protected because it is not functioning in its authority. Now, have you ever wondered to yourself, for those of you who are holding down jobs, maybe one job or two jobs, and you're saying to yourself, you're waking up in the mornings and you feel so dissatisfied, you're like, man, I'm so stressed. This job is killing me. Guess what? You are correct. Because when you are not functioning in your area of authority, you are getting stressed. Now, if you've not ever understood how illness occurs, right? Disease is actually two words. Dis-ease. Your body is not at ease, and when your body is not at ease, it starts to produce stress. It starts to be under stress, and all the things that we read about cancerous growths, tumors, headaches, malaria, and all that actually comes because the body is under stress. And when you are not walking in your authority, your body is being subjected to stress because your body was not created to be under stress. So your body is actually malfunctioning. That is because you're not really pursuing your true authority. You're not functioning in your true authority. Therefore, you're not living your maximum life. If you've ever looked at people such as maybe Paul McCartney, if you know Paul McCartney, a member of that famous group called the Beatles, the man is almost 80 years old, but he's still singing, he's still playing, and he looks like a 50-year-old because he's doing what he was created to do. He's functioning in his gift and he is thriving. His life is thriving. He's not subject to disease, right? He's not ill, he's not being stressed, he doesn't have cancer or anything because he's doing what he loves to do. He's walking in his authority. And that is the thing that you must get if you're going to be able to live your maximum life, if you're going to be able to function maximally, if you're going to become everything you were created to be, you must find your gift of authority. Now, there's a difference between power and authority. Now, what's the difference? Power is the gift. Power is the ability, the thing that you can do, right? That's your power. But authority is what gives your power permission to function. Without the authority, you cannot function. So let's further buttress that with this example. You know how plants are, right? Plants have to be planted in the ground. The seed has to be planted in the ground, and then it will germinate, and it will now thrive and to become a tree. But the seed has to submit to the authority. And what's the authority of the seed? The soil. The seed has the gift of the seed becoming a tree, but it has to submit to the soil. That's the authority. You don't see plants just, getting out of the soil and saying, well, I'm tired of the soil, so I'm going to find my own way. It's not going to happen. Anytime a seed is taken out of the soil, what happens? It dies. It malfunctions and dies because it has left its area of authority. Authority is what gives your gift permission to function. So when you find your gift of authority, when you're walking in your authority, when you submit it to your authority, you're now able to function maximally. You're now able to walk in your authority. You're now able to do everything that you were created to do, and you're flowing. It's just, everything is just coming together, right? Now, how do you know that you found your gift of authority? It's a very long subject, obviously, and it's a teaching that you can't necessarily get in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, right? But here's a clue. When you find something that you can do from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night, and you're just so in love with it, and you could just do it 24 hours straight without even feeling stress, and you could do it without receiving a dime from anybody, you have found your gift of authority, because that is the way you were created to be. You were created to just flow in your gift within your authority. When birds fly, and this is a scientifically proven fact, when birds fly, they get energy from flying. When fish swim, they get energy from swimming. When you are walking in your true authority, it doesn't stress you out. It gives you energy because you are walking in your authority, right? And when I discovered that particular truth, it just exploded something in my life, right? Because prior to this time, say 2 3 years ago, I was working in a job, etc., but I wasn't getting the most out of my life. And I was subject to all manner of things. I was stressed. But when I found my gift, and more importantly my authority, things just began to change, and doors began to open. Have you ever noticed that um birds, right? Everything that the bird needs is already been provided. The bird doesn't have to stress itself looking for twigs to build a nest, or looking for food to feed its young, or whatever. All these things are already provided in creation. That is the difference between the man-made craft, or the man-made bird, and the natural bird. Everything that the bird needs is already provided. And so I put it to you that once you find your gift of authority, everything that you need to function properly in that gift has already been provided. And once you walk in it, doors begin to open, right? So, gift of authority, walk in your authority, maximize your life, and be all that you're created to be. I would like to end at this point, because I promised you it was going to be short, it was going to be punchy, and we're going to be doing this a lot more regularly, right? So stay tuned for another episode coming your way soon from Mr. William Awada, the GOAT. Yeah, that's right. The greatest Stephen of all time. Okay, well, Jesus is the greatest of all time, but I'm the greatest of all time because I'm walking in my gifts of authority. And you can be the greatest of all time as well once you find your gift of authority. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining up. God bless you, and see you soon.